Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kyle Clark.
And I'm Kim Christensen. The man who killed 10 people at a Boulder King Soopers will spend the rest of his life in prison. That sentence came after a jury convicted him this afternoon on all counts.
Jury did not buy the defense argument that the shooter was insane on March 22nd, 2021. They deliberated about 5 hours. Kevin Vaughn from our 9 News Investigates team has been in court every day of this trial, joins us now from Boulder. Kevin, this was a long time coming for the victims' families.
Kyle and Kim, this case was delayed repeatedly over questions about the shooter's mental health. Today, finally, those left behind got what they've been hoping for. The day that changed all their lives, the day a gunman murdered 10 people in a Boulder grocery store, was 3.5 years ago yesterday.
All right, please be seated.
For those left behind, seeing the killer face justice took 3.5 hours today in a packed courtroom.
It's our understanding that the jury has reached a unanimous verdict. Is that correct?
After 5 hours of deliberation,
Jury verdict count number 1 as to Nevin Stanisic. We, the jury, find the defendant, Ahmad Alyssa, guilty of count number 1, murder in the first degree.
guilty on 10 counts of first-degree murder.
Guilty of count number 2.
Guilty on 45 other charges. And then,
Nevin is not just another statistic of people who have lost their lives in a mass shooting. Nevin was also a person. Nevin had a life that he loved.
they tried to find the words to describe their pain and loss.
I was numb to the majesty of the Flatirons, a gorgeous sunrise or sunset. In fact, I did that. I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel joy or be happy. I couldn't get angry. There were days when I couldn't even get out of bed.
My mom, Lynn, was one of the coolest human beings I think I will ever know in my time here on Earth. And thinking about that and thinking about what to say here today.
So I could have been right by Eric's side. I told myself he would still be alive if I had been there to save him.
Finally, judgment.
Count 2, murder in the first degree, as it relates to Kevin. Life sentence, no possibility of parole.
10 consecutive life sentences, plus 1,334 years.
Court's in recess.
Once the judge handed down that first sentence of life in prison without parole, she effectively guaranteed that the shooter would never again be free. But the DA pushed her to issue the maximum sentence on every single count and to run all of them consecutively. That's how we ended up with this 10 life sentences and 1,334 years. Kyle and Kim?
Kevin, we know you've been there every single day, and not only was this painful today, but the firsthand accounts and the video used in court was really hard to watch. You experienced this like the members of the jury. It's got to be really hard on them.
Kim, the jurors were extremely attentive throughout this trial, and that included to that difficult video. All of the killings, but a couple of them were captured by surveillance cameras or body cameras, and there was an 8-minute compilation put together by the prosecution as part of their case, and the jury asked to see that and watch that again today during deliberations.
Yeah, you talk about service, right? Like they performed a service to the community by watching that, and Kevin provided service by being there every single day to tell us what was going on. Kevin Vaughn, thank you. So some of the families have been outspoken over the last 3 years about their experiences, and others were silent until today.
They told the judge how much loss and grief they have been experiencing since that day. With more from Boulder, here is Jeremy Hahola.
It's impossible to capture the scope of how many people have been impacted by the shooting in Boulder.
No parent should have to bury their child 6 feet underground.
One by one, so many loved ones came to speak for those who can't speak anymore, like the mother of Terry Liker.
Life after Terry has been devastating, but we are not devastated. Love is forever.
Bob Olds, the uncle of Ricky Olds, had words directly for the shooter.
I hope when you are sitting in your cell, you are tormented and haunted by what you did to all the victims. I hope you rot in hell.
So many profound words, especially from the mother of police officer Eric Talley, who recounted being on the phone with her son as the shooting call came in. It would be the last time they would speak.
And he said, "Mom, I'm dispatched. I gotta go." And I said, "Eric, be careful." He said, "Always." I'll call you on the way home. I love you, Mom. And I came back with our standard, and I love you more.
Talley is survived by 7 children. His daughter Madeline was 16 at the time.
My dad wasn't there when I earned my license. He wasn't there when I got my first job. He wasn't there for my 18th birthday. He wasn't there to interrogate my first boyfriend like he had always told me he would.
Outside of court, the families gathered to share more words, including the sister of Officer Talley.
He went in there to protect people, and he went in there to fire a bullet into that killer's head. And the trajectory of that bullet is finished today in the justice of what these people have done.
It has been 1,281 days since that shooting. That is 3.5 years of court hearings and frustrating delays for many of the families impacted here. And while this court case is over, this tragedy will never end for many of those grieving families. In Boulder, Jeremy Hohola, 9 News.
The shooter's older brother says his family wished police would have killed him on the day of the shooting.
9 News reporter Kelly Rinke spoke with the brother after the verdict.
A jury's decision brought finality to a case that's dragged on for more than 3 years. All that time, the family of the shooter, who killed 10 people at a grocery store, has stayed quiet, never speaking publicly about what they knew before terror came to a King Soopers. Guilty verdicts Monday changed their mind.
How surprised were you when he was arrested?
We were crazy surprised. We did not believe it.
There was no indication that he would do something like that.
Not at all. Not at all.
This man didn't share his name, but told 9 News he was the shooter's older brother.
You were all living in the same house.
Exactly. So we were in the front line. If we knew that he was dangerous, then he was going to be dangerous to us first before anyone else. We did not know anything about sickness.
The family from Syria testified during trial the man's personality began changing a few years before he opened fire at King Soopers. They said he was withdrawn, paranoid. We now know he has schizophrenia, but a jury found he still knew the difference between right and wrong.
So as he's changing, he started to become normal to us, his family. If we didn't know that he was sick in a sickness called schizophrenia, we would have done everything to stop him.
Prosecutors described a man who plotted tragedy, building an arsenal of weapons inside the family's house.
That's what we did as his family at the beginning, and we wished him death. We wished that the cops have shot him and killed him. Because at the same time, as we love him, people love their loved ones too. And there was 10 people died.
What remains unclear is why the prosecution never offered a motive. Kelly Rinke, 9 News.
After getting a taste of fall this weekend, temperatures warm back up near 80 today, and they're expected to stay there for most of the week. Dry too, Corey Reppenhagen.
Exactly. It's going to be a beautiful week. I hope that those victims' families will, now with this closure, will be able to look at a Front Range sunset and see the pure beauty and joy that it really truly is now that they have that closure. Bruce Weber captured tonight's sunset out on the Front Range from Johnstown. Just incredible views out there. Here's your Tuesday. Across Denver, we'll have sunshine to end the day. Maybe a few clouds in the morning, however. Temperatures at 77 degrees. And when you look at your weather impact headlines, that's because we'll have an overnight cold front. No precipitation or really cold temperatures, but you'll see those clouds in the morning. We're tracking record fall heat. We could be close to record Wednesday and Thursday, and the fall colors are peaking, and it looks like with the weather conditions, they're going to hang all the way through next weekend. I'll have more details on that coming up in a few minutes.
A paramedic who injected Elijah McClain with ketamine will remain free while he appeals conviction. An attorney for Jeremy Cooper tells 9 News he's been granted an appeal bond, allowing him to stay out of custody until the appeal process for his conviction plays out. In December, a jury convicted Cooper of criminally negligent homicide. He was acquitted on other charges related to the 2019 death of McClain in Aurora. In April, a judge sentenced him to 14 months of work release along with 4 years probation. Today, that judge granted an appeal bond for Cooper. His next court hearing is set for January 13th.
Aurora City Council is limiting public comment at its meetings after weeks of disruptions. Is a 7-2 vote tonight. Council decided to stop accepting virtual public comment. They'll require speakers show up in person if they want to be heard. Ironically, council decided that tonight's meeting was going to be held virtually. It comes after a self-proclaimed white supremacist spewed slurs over the phone during public comment at a meeting earlier this month. But the change also allows Aurora City Council to avoid interacting with community members who have been vocal at the last several meetings protesting the death of a man named Kylan Lewis. Lewis was unarmed and holding a cell phone when he was shot and killed by Aurora police in May. His mother was the first to speak in what would be the last virtual public comment period for some time.
I don't understand how moving to a virtual meeting is supposed to solve the problems this city is facing, especially when it was hateful, racist comments over the phone on the call line at the last meeting that caused harm, not the people standing for justice.
After Kylan Lewis's mother spoke, one after one her supporters read a letter she wrote to council pushing for accountability.